U.S. Department of State is re-announcing a reward of up to $5 million for information leading to the arrest and/or conviction of Yulan Adonai Archaga Carillo.
Yulan Archaga escaped court with the help of his gang. Ryan Wedding went from Olympian to drug lord, and El Minio's cartel operates in all 50 states. In this video, I'll expose 9 of the most dangerous gang leaders still active in the U.S. in 2025. Yulan Adaga Caras holds one of the highest positions in the hierarchy of international organized crime. Known by the aliases Porky or Alexander Mendoza, he's considered by U.S. authorities to be the most significant MS-13 leader impacting American operations. Born February 13, 1982, in the violence-ridden streets of San Pedro Sula, Honduras, this 43-year-old rose from a street-level criminal to a transnational figure whose influence stretches from the mountains of Honduras to the inner cities of the United States. Standing just 5 feet 5 inches and weighing 160 pounds, Archaga Caras commands an empire that operates like a multinational corporation, handling drug trafficking, money laundering, weapons distribution, and orchestrating violent crimes, including targeted assassinations. Despite reports of his capture in Colombia in February 2025, U.S. officials confirm he remains at large as of July. He's believed to oversee MS-13 supply of firearms, narcotics, and cash into the U.S., facilitate massive cocaine shipments, and order murders of rivals and defectors. His dramatic 2015 escape from custody in Honduras marked the start of one of Central America's largest manhunts. The FBI added him to its 10 most wanted fugitives list in 2021 and, alongside the State Department, offers a $5 million reward for his capture under the Transnational Organized Crime Rewards Program. Archaga Caras' reach is measured not just in drugs moved, but in lives lost. In February 2020, he escaped from a courthouse in El Progreso, Honduras, aided by roughly 20 armed men, leaving 5 people dead, including police and military officers. The U.S. officially designated MS-13 a foreign terrorist organization in February 2025, giving law enforcement more tools to pursue him. While Archaga Caras' gang is known for killing police, the next figure on this list has a $3 million bounty on his head: Giovanni Vicente Mosca Serrano. Mosca Serrano, known as El Viejo, is a senior leader of Tren de Aragua, a Venezuelan gang that evolved from a prison-based network into a global criminal enterprise. Born February 22, 1988, this 37-year-old commands a syndicate involved in drug trafficking, human trafficking, weapons smuggling, extortion, and violent crimes in the United States. The FBI added him to its 10 most wanted list on June 24, 2025, making him the first Tren de Aragua member to appear there. He faces charges of conspiring to distribute cocaine from Colombia to the U.S. and providing material support to a terrorist organization. Intelligence reports suggest he operates from Venezuela or Colombia, shielded by his gang's extensive network and resources. Despite international efforts, he remains free, a testament to protective infrastructure high-level criminals enjoy in South America. The next figure hasn't been seen in over a decade: Fausto Edro Mesa Flores, known as El Chapo Edro, a veteran of Mexico's underworld. He began with the Juarez cartel in the 1990s under Amado Carrillo Fuentes, later joining the Beltran-Leyva cartel as right-hand man to Alfredo Beltran-Leyva until the latter's arrest in 2008. Now the leader of the Mesa Flores transnational criminal organization, he's one of the FBI's highest priority targets. Added to the 10 most wanted list in February 2025, Mesa Flores is charged with trafficking staggering amounts of methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, and marijuana into the U.S., quantities that only hint at the scale of his operation. For more than 10 years, he's managed to evade capture, maintaining control over a network that fuels the drug trade and associated violence on both sides of the border. The connection between Mesa Flores and America's fentanyl crisis cannot be overstated. His organization is a major driver of fentanyl trafficking into the United States, using planes, maritime vessels, and tractor-trailers to move shipments from Mexico across the border. The scale and precision of these operations reveal the business-like efficiency with which the Mesa Flores TCO profits from American addiction and death. One of the most significant seizures linked to his network took place in December 2024. Over 1 ton of fentanyl doses seized in Mexico, the largest such bust in the country's history. More than 20 million doses were intended for the U.S. market. This single shipment alone had the potential to kill millions, underscoring the genocidal scale of the trade. The U.S. government has long recognized the threat he poses. The State Department's Narcotics Rewards Program offers up to $5 million for information leading to his capture, a reward first announced in September 2017 and reaffirmed in 2025. Mesa Flores faces multiple U.S. indictments, including a 2019 case charging him with conspiracy to manufacture and distribute controlled substances, as well as firearm offenses. In 2013, the U.S. Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control designated him, 7 family members, and 3 affiliated businesses under the Foreign Narcotics Kingpin Designation Act, freezing assets and banning U.S. entities from doing business with him. His last confirmed sighting was in Nuevo Leon, Mexico, at a youth basketball game in January 2013. Intelligence now points to him operating in Sinaloa, possibly Guasave. His survival for over a decade reflects a protective infrastructure and security layers surrounding top cartel leaders. More recently, reports indicate he's formed an alliance with Los Mayitos, led by the sons of Ismael Elmeo Zambada, against Los Chapitos, the faction run by Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's sons, proof of his adaptability in Mexico's shifting cartel politics. While Mesa Flores built his criminal career within multiple cartels, the next figure on our list began in an entirely different world, professional sports. Ryan James Wedding's transformation from celebrated Olympic athlete to one of America's most wanted fugitives is among the most shocking falls from grace in modern criminal history. Wedding represented Team Canada at the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, competing in the men's parallel giant slalom and finishing 24th. But during his university years, he began dabbling in marijuana dealing. That small-scale operation eventually evolved into a sophisticated multinational trafficking network, the Wedding Criminal Enterprise, active from 2011 to 2024. His organization moved hundreds of kilograms of cocaine and fentanyl from Colombia through Mexico and Southern California into Canada and multiple U.S. states. This was not street-level dealing. It was a corporate-style management of a criminal empire, with Wedding acting as CEO. His brutality matched his ambition. The FBI links him to multiple murders, including contract killings in Ontario, Canada, tied to his U.S. drug operations. He was added to the FBI's 10 Most Wanted list on March 6, 2025, becoming fugitive number 535, with the State Department offering a $10 million reward for his capture. U.S. prosecutors have charged him with conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, conspiracy to export cocaine, continuing criminal enterprise, murder in connection with continuing criminal enterprise, and attempted murder. His rise was accelerated by becoming a high-ranking member of the Sinaloa cartel by 2011, granting him access to resources, protection, and smuggling infrastructure. Wedding's decade-long ability to evade capture is credited to his use of encrypted communications, cash-based transactions, and deep cartel connections. But while he forged alliances with powerful players, our next figure doesn't just partner with the Sinaloa cartel. He leads it. Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar. In the blood-soaked hierarchy of Mexican organized crime, few names carried a weight of legacy and fear like that of El Chapito, eldest son of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman and current co-leader of the Sinaloa cartel. This 41-year-old criminal mastermind has inherited not just his father's empire, but also his ruthless capacity for violence and strategic brilliance in international drug trafficking. He is the eldest son of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the former leader of the Sinaloa cartel, and Alejandrina Salazar Hernandez. Introduced as a teenager to the cartel's inner workings by his father and Ismael Elmeo Zambada Garcia, he quickly learned the logistics of large-scale smuggling and the politics of underworld alliances. According to U.S. authorities, Guzman Salazar began orchestrating massive drug shipments to the United States as early as 2008. Cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and marijuana, often in loads measured in the hundreds or even thousands of kilograms. But what makes him especially dangerous in the current climate is his central role in the fentanyl trade. He is accused of coordinating the shipment of precursor chemicals from China to Mexico, then overseeing the production and distribution of fentanyl throughout the U.S., directly fueling the opioid crisis and linking him to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans. He is one of the DEA's most wanted fugitives, also appearing on the FBI's 10 most wanted list and the State Department's most wanted roster. Washington has offered up to $10 million for information leading to his arrest, placing him among the most valuable fugitives on Earth. His operations are protected by an army of armed sicarios, responsible for murders, kidnappings, and assaults targeting rivals, law enforcement, and even suspected traitors within his own ranks. Over the years, Guzman Salazar has faced indictments for continuing criminal enterprise, fentanyl importation, and trafficking conspiracies, possession of machine guns, explosives, and money laundering. In 2012, the U.S. Treasury sanctioned him under the Kingpin Act, freezing assets and cutting off financial lifelines. Yet, he remains elusive. In early 2025, Mexican special forces raided a safe house in Culiacan and found fresh evidence of his presence, but he vanished into an underground tunnel before they could capture him. Similar near misses have played out multiple times, highlighting both the pressure closing in and the sophisticated escape infrastructure at his disposal. With two of his brothers, Ovidio Guzman Lopez and Joaquin Guzman Lopez, already captured, the heat on Ivan is rising, but that hasn't stopped him. Under his leadership, the Los Chapitos faction continues to move drugs on a scale that spans every U.S. state. Leader of La Empresa, the man known as the Gnome is deeply entrenched in trafficking heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine across the U.S.-Mexico border, particularly through El Paso, Texas, and Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. His operations fuel addiction, gang violence, and homicide rates in U.S. communities. The strategic location of his network at one of the busiest border crossings in North America makes his trade routes both highly profitable and incredibly difficult to disrupt. The Gnome's alliances illustrate the interconnected nature of Mexican criminal organizations. Barrio AKA, operating with a rigid hierarchy, is aligned with La Linea, the armed wing of the Juarez cartel, and has historically waged bloody battles against the Sinaloa cartel for control of lucrative smuggling corridors. These alliances provide the Gnomes group with resources, protection, and logistical support far beyond that of a typical street gang, effectively elevating it into a multinational criminal enterprise. Law enforcement's response in 2020 highlighted the scale and urgency of stopping him. In May of that year, Mexican authorities, including the Chihuahua State Police, launched a full-scale manhunt after he allegedly orchestrated targeted attacks on police officers in Juarez. This was not a symbolic move. It represented a massive commitment of manpower and resources, underscoring how high a priority his capture had become. Yet the Gnome remains a ghost. As of July 2025, there are no confirmed public reports of his capture, death, or continued movements. This silence may be the result of operational secrecy, the inherently clandestine nature of gang leadership, or the constantly shifting power structures within violent cartels. For years, he has avoided the reach of both Mexican and U.S. authorities, but his organization has not slowed. A successor continues to keep his empire intact, even if that means running operations from inside a cell. Which brings us to John Stinson, deep inside America's prison system, where violence is currency and race dictate survival. Few figures inspire as much fear and deference as Stinson, known on the inside as Youngster. Now 70 years old, this high-ranking member of the Aryan Brotherhood has spent over 4 decades proving that a prison sentence does not end a criminal career. Instead, it can evolve it into something more insulated, more organized, and far harder to dismantle. Incarcerated since 1979 for a murder in Long Beach, California, Stinson has transformed from a street-level killer into one of the most strategic prison-based crime bosses in U.S. history. The Aryan Brotherhood, under leaders like him, has grown into a sprawling network of 15,000 to 20,000 members, running drug trafficking, extortion, contract killings, and racketeering both behind bars and on the streets. In 2007, Stinson was handed 3 consecutive life sentences for racketeering. In 2025, he was convicted again, this time for a RICO conspiracy covering crimes from 2016 to 2023. Earning another 20 years in federal prison. From his cell, Stinson ran meth distribution networks using smuggled cell phones to coordinate shipments inside California prisons and across the state, taking a cut of profits as he A-beats upper leadership. He also plotted multiple murders, including 2 AB members who ultimately survived, to enforce discipline and remove perceived threats. These cases show that his reach extends well beyond the walls, into communities and criminal networks across America. Like Stinson, the next figure proves that prison walls can't contain certain men. Francis Clement, a 58-year-old high-ranking Aryan Brotherhood leader, is a study in lethal commitment. Convicted of murder on his 18th birthday in 1984, he has spent decades orchestrating violence from within California's prison system. His career reached a bloody peak when, in February 2025, he was found guilty of a RICO conspiracy and 5 murders in aid of racketeering. In 2025, he was convicted again, this time for a RICO conspiracy covering crimes from 2016 to 2023, earning another 20 years in federal prison. From his cell, Stinson ran meth distribution networks using smuggled cell phones to coordinate shipments inside California prisons and across the state, taking a cut of profits as the AB's upper leadership. He also plotted multiple murders, including 2 AB members who ultimately survived, to enforce discipline and remove perceived threats. These cases show that his reach extends well beyond the walls, into communities and criminal networks across America. Like Stinson, the next figure proves that prison walls can't contain certain men. Francis Clement, a 58-year-old high-ranking Aryan Brotherhood leader, is a study in lethal commitment. Convicted of murder on his 18th birthday in 1984, he has spent decades orchestrating violence from within California's prison system. His career reached a bloody peak when, in February 2025, he was found guilty of a RICO conspiracy and 5 murders in aid of racketeering. The victims, Alan Roshansky, Russell Magome Gadge, Michael Bryandine, James Yagle, and Ronnie Ennis, were killed between 2020 and 2023 for breaking gang rules or owing debts. These hits were ordered from behind bars using contraband phones, with AB members carrying out executions on the streets of Los Angeles County. Clement operations also extended to meth smuggling rings that pumped drugs both into prisons and onto the streets. On May 19, 2025, Clement was sentenced to life without parole, but his decades of directing criminal activity from inside show a stark truth. In the modern underworld, a prison cell is no guarantee of containment. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click one of the boxes on your screen for more stories from the dark corners of organized crime.